There was a conversation at my parents' kitchen table that changed everything. My parent was talking about the future, their future, and somewhere in the middle of that conversation, I realized that everything was about to shift. My husband and teenagers still needed me at home. My parent was going to need me, however, in a different way, and no one has a roadmap for it. Um, for the whole situation, for what's going to come next. I find that everyone's story is slightly different when it comes to these matters. And so that was the moment I for sure became a part of the sandwich generation. And this is my story. Welcome to the Sandwich Generation Life. I'm glad you found this channel. Um, if you're an adult, taking care of your aging parents, raising your kids, and still holding down two households together, um, and also quietly wondering how are you still going to do all of this, you're exactly in the right place. I have created a few videos to this point, kind of to get my feet wet a little bit, but now I want to step it back to the start, to the beginning, to my beginning, because I think you'll see yourself in this story. Um, so let me take you back to what my life was like before everything changed. I was married with a kid still in school, um, a young adult finding their footing, still needing me in ways I didn't always expect, of course. I was in that season of parenting where you're thinking the hardest part is over. Um, you survived the little kid years, and now you're in the teenage years. You're not quite at the finish line, but you're getting close. Um, so we're starting to imagine what the next chapter of our lives, is going to look like. And my parent, we all knew was getting older, but they were independent, strong, the kind of parent that never asks for help. So I didn't think much about what was coming. I was just kept moving forward and living the way most people were doing, and most people do every day. Then came that conversation. The conversation, I don't remember exactly how it started, the exact words, but I remember we were sitting together and my parents started talking about the future, their health, their plans, what they wanted, what they were worried about. And I sat there listening. Something shifted in me. This wasn't just a conversation, it was like a handoff of sorts, a quiet, loving, terrifying handoff. My parent was telling me, not in so many words, but in every word, that they were going to need me, really need me. And I looked around at my life, married, kids still in school, at home, my responsibilities, my already full plate, and thought, how am I going to do this? How am I really going to pull this off? I smiled and said all the right things. I was scared, but I always um, knew I was going to stay strong for them, for my family, for everyone. That was what we do, right? We stay, hang in there. We hold it together. We figure it out, um, and simply show up. So, that's kind of how you handle things. But inside, I was quietly terrified. Um, and I didn't start out as a caregiver. I don't think most people start out as a caregiver. But again, everybody's story is different and how things start. It was a simple task. Pay the bills every month, and continue that, um, and so that's how it was for a while. And then you start you know going into that easing. It wasn't like you got to be here 24 hours a day. at the start. It was kind of like, someone kind of needs to be around, periodically. Um, and a little bit, and it got, over the years, it got, a little more, and then it got all the way, to a certain point. So, so it you kind of ease into it, but it goes, before you know it, it goes, pretty quickly. Um, and You never think about how fast that role reversal is going to happen. One day your parent is, you know, the one with all the answers. The next day you're the one making the calls. You're the one researching options, sitting in waiting rooms, trying to explain things gently without making them feel like they've lost their independence. Um, and while um, and all while life, keeps going. My teenager still needs me emotionally, financially, practically, meaning that I was still very much mom at home to, them, and suddenly became caregiver, parent to my own parent. There were so many days where I was simply exhausted, trying to figure out how to be everything to everybody. Whether wondering if I was doing the right thing, because I didn't always know the right thing, but I figured it out. So even though it was me and my siblings, no one really knew exactly what was needed beyond the basic things. And we knew that our parent had the basic things. They had health insurance, a will, and a power of attorney, POA. And I was the POA. So in the very beginning, I took the brunt of the work. I search online and find clinical articles, as things progressed, and other resources aimed at professional caregivers. I talked to friends. They, sympathized with me, but they really weren't living it at that point in time. So I couldn't really find anyone just talking about it honestly, personally, from the middle of it. So I decided to be that person. Um, you know, and not because I have all the answers, because I don't. I absolutely don't, believe me. Because, but because I just thought that um, I didn't want anyone feeling completely overwhelmed and exhausted like I felt. Um, and I felt that way often, and that's not usually something I feel. I'm usually very confident in what I do, how I work, at work, and, having that knowledge, and I've been there for so many years or whatever, that confidence level, confident in being a parent to my child, wife, all that stuff. So feeling overwhelmed and exhausted is not something I typically feel. So, but if I can make someone else, even one person, feel less, of any of that, this is well worth it. So that's why I started Sandwich Generation Life. This channel is of course for every adult child of an aging parent who's also taking care of their own family, trying to hold together both households. Um, and we're going to talk real stuff um, on this channel: the guilt, finances, family dynamics, caregiver burnout, and yes, actually talking about taking care of yourself in the middle of all this, because you can't forget about that. You always um, need to think about putting your own mask on first, kind of like when you're on a plane. Put your own mask on first, then take care of those around you. So you can't forget that. And so that's kind of the plan. If any part of my story sounded like yours, please subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment below and tell me about your story, even if you just have one line that you want to leave, because I want to know who's out there. And I want you to know that you're not alone. So thank you for listening, and join me in my next video.